The thumbnail reads, Forbidden Love. But no, this is not a spat between the Montagues and Capulets we're talking about. The setting for this total nothing burger isn't Verona, Italy, but rather Bladenboro, North Carolina. And the video title makes no bones about what happened and why. Black teenager hanged for dating a white woman in Crackertown, North Carolina. Yeah, Crackertown.
That's racist.
That was racist.
Yeah, that's racist.
Oh, that is racist.
And if you know one thing about the video publisher, Richard Taylor, it's that he has the facts. If Richard says that a black teenager was hanged for dating a white woman, then call off the autopsy, because Richard has amassed the reels. He's going to lay some of that evidence across the screen, and you'll wonder why we even bother hiring detectives.
You don't really believe all those foolish things you say, do you?
Now, just to play some context for what you're about to hear, this hanging took place back in 2014, so it's old, but that didn't stop Richard from still trying to make hay of it and making a fool of himself in the process. Hello out there, I am trying to get through.
With his powerful brainwaves cradled in the warmth of reasoning, it's time for Johnny Walker Dredd to straighten you out on a thing or two. Emanating all the way from exciting Las Vegas, Oklahoma, it's the Johnny Walker Dredd Show.
I have a man hanging from a swing set. Bladen Rental Properties, Highway 211.
There's a male subject hanging from the swing.
It's a black male subject.
At 7:25 the next morning, Lennon Lacy was found in the open field of a mobile home park, hanging from this swing set.
Suicide.
How do you know, Johnny Walker Dredd?
Well, it's out in the open, around a bunch of homes. The logistics involved in forcing someone, or dragging his body, to the site location and pulling off a hanging without anyone knowing are pretty formidable. Even more unlikely that a bunch of murderers would kill someone this way. They're almost guaranteed to be caught, when it would be much, much easier to just shoot or stab the person and then run from the crime scene. The same applied to Trey Reed. I said on day one that it was a suicide because he was found out in the open on a college campus. And guess what? You know that I was right.
The local police ruled his death. According to the autopsy, he seemed depressed. What did you make of that?
How did they know? How do you psychologically evaluate a dead person?
Well, you can't. The problem here is that we don't have an exact quote from the medical examiner, so I don't know what it is that he or she told the public. Perhaps they said that the evidence was consistent with the act of someone who was severely depressed. I don't know.
That question, and many others, still unanswered.
By the way, once I die, whatever you do, don't display a big giant L below my picture. Okay? Please? You're going to do it, aren't you? Sons of bitches.
Haunt Lennon's family. You did not recognize the belt that was used in the hanging.
I did not.
Lennon was found wearing shoes that were too small for him. Is that correct?
Exactly.
A size and a half smaller than he normally wears? So he was found with size 10 and a half shoes?
And we knew that those weren't the shoes he had on his feet because his sister saw him with those Jordans on when he left.
And what about the shoes that he was wearing when he was found?
We don't know where those shoes came from.
This is starting to become another hoax strategy. We saw this with Trey Reed, where everyone was saying that the belt he used wasn't his own. It makes no sense that the murderers would steal his shoes and replace them with another pair. Okay, take his shoes. They were apparently pretty nice. But why not just leave him barefoot? And who happened to have a pair of shoes handy?
Meanwhile, just days after Lennon was buried, it appeared someone had desecrated his grave.
If true, then that's reprehensible. Although I'm not sure what I'm seeing here. If you're going to smite him, why not just pee on his grave or throw trash on it? But I highly doubt it's related to the hanging, even if it was murder, which I consider highly improbable.
What we don't want is for this to potentially be one of those cold cases. When we look at so many of the pieces of the puzzle, and when our attorneys have asked, well, have these leads been followed up? They hadn't. there seems to be a rush. The call was made so quick. For instance, the crime scene being released so quickly.
Imagine trying to hang a person here without anybody noticing. If the dude is alive, he's putting up a fight and screaming. And if he's dead, why on earth would you drag the body that can get you executed right out here in the open? It would take at least 3 men to hang a dead body. They're not that easy to hang.
The mother even said that when she saw his body, her first question is, why was his hands not covered to protect the DNA or anything under his fingernail?
This is what happens when people watch these crime shows. They become experts in criminal justice investigation. Frankly, I've never seen hands covered to protect them for future DNA analysis. But perhaps that's a thing.
Shoes that he had on were not his. Why is it that the belts that were found or claimed to be found in the leash that is on?
Those are claims. It is not a fact that the belt wasn't his or that the shoes weren't his.
Were there real measurements done? Did anybody look really at the physics of how the hanging could have taken place?
Do you really think this could have been a lynching?
Could have been, until all the questions are answered. The reality is we know it was a hanging. And the question is, was it a hanging? Was it a stage hanging? What was it? We do not know at this point. That is why we're asking for this further investigation.
We have asked the Justice Department to throw its full weight behind a comprehensive and thorough investigation.
All right.
And they did. And they found nothing. More on that later.
Peace and blessings, all praises to the Most High. Now I'm going to give you some more information that they did not touch on in that video as to why people feel that Lennon Lacy was hung.
Whenever he says that he's going to present evidence that the authorities failed to mention, then it becomes clear within 10 nanoseconds why the authorities didn't bother mentioning it. Because Richard is going to rely on the claims of those who snort racial division through a straw.
Yesterday in Raleigh, and I met a man who watched my video saying,
"Oh, wow, there's his source. The man on the street."
And he said, well, I'm from Bladenboro. He said, we had an incident, a while back. And, I had to think about it. And I was like, yeah, Lennon Lacy. Now, I'm going to tell you, or I'm going to show you what he told me, which I did not follow at the time. Now, mind you, this is 2014. A lot of things were going on. Mike Brown, a couple of other situations, a lot of police killings. And so
a lot of police brutality hoaxes like Mike Brown. And if you really think that the cop was to blame for Mike Brown's death, then you're an idiot or completely uninformed.
This kind of flew under the radar to a certain extent. Like all of these physical things, like the leash and the belt not belonging to him, the swing set being too high to have nothing around to stand on to do that to yourself, his shoes being 2 sizes too small, and his new Jordans have never been found that he had on, somebody desecrating his grave after he was dead, and also the crime scene not being secured, and even, his hands not covered to cover any DNA evidence. All of these things point to, if not a cover-up, a piss-poor job by law enforcement. Now,
notice how he just takes the claims of anyone at face value, then repeats them as fact. This is how propaganda spreads.
Those things aside, here is something that they did not talk about in that video, which I think leads me to believe that he died because of the reason why this video was entitled. Just take a look, and these videos are fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Just watch.
You thought the brain drain that you've heard so far was bad enough? He's just getting started. He's now going to present his theory on what happened, and he's going to do his damnedest to rule out suicide, because if there's one thing that Richard and his ilk crave, it's news that a young black man was murdered.
You have called it a lynching, and that has racial overtones. Do you think that his death was racially motivated?
It could have been.
Sure, it could have been. It could have been ordered by the Secret Service or a combined Hamas-Israeli strike force. There are a lot of things it could have been. I'm more interested in what was the most likeliest.
In the community that I live in, it's not Likely not to have been because, like I said, it's separate. It's desegregated. You can sense it. Not so much as see it, but sense it. And you could see it at a certain point if you lived there long enough.
That would make more sense if these hangings were daily or weekly or even monthly. The notion that this was probably a hanging because the city is segregated? Oh, come on.
He had just broken up with his girlfriend, who was an older white woman, right?
Yes.
31 years old. And she's a white woman. Well, how do you think that factored into this? Did you think it factored into this at all?
It could have.
How so?
Her background, for one, the company she kept, and also the fact that she was older and more experienced, and an ex-husband.
Yeah, it could have. Of what possible value is there in such a statement? It would be one thing if she produced evidence that he had received threats because of his interracial relationship, or that he was dating someone older. But this theory is just being shoved out here by Don Lemon based on purely nothing. Why even go there? And what the hell does age have to do with this?
Did you hear about Lennon? He's dating an older woman.
Oh, hell, get a rope.
And of a different ethnicity, that she's white and he's black?
Yes.
Did that
Yes.
that make a difference?
Yes.
Yeah. Was that an issue in the town?
It was an issue in the town also with the family.
With her family?
My family.
With your family?
Her family.
I personally talked to her one-on-one as a mother to another mother. She has 3 children in the home, 11-year-old daughter. And I put it to her like this. I said, if my 17-year-old came to your house and wanted to talk to your 11-year-old, how would you feel? Same scenario. Thinking that she would think of it as, from my point of view.
Now, I'm not defending the girlfriend's dating a minor, even though it's perfectly legal in North Carolina. But I don't think that a 17-year-old dating an 11-year-old is quite the same thing as a 17-year-old dating a 32-year-old. By the way, this theory would have made more sense if she was hanged. But why would you hang the kid?
Yeah. And?
There was nothing really to say except either change, stop, and it didn't.
You said that you believe there are too many inconsistencies, like the sneakers he was wearing when he left. You said that the sneakers were different when they found him, the ones that he had on when they found him.
They weren't his. 2 sizes too small. No shoelaces. It's just not feasible. It's not logical. Lennon would not put himself through that kind of tennis shoes that were 2 sizes too small. Why? He left home with a brand new pair of Jordans that I bought him for school.
Okay. And so there you hear the mother talking about what I believe is the reason why Lennon Lacy was murdered. He was in a relationship. A 17-year-old black boy was in a relationship with a 32-year-old white woman. And that white woman is this lady right here, 32-year-old.
Lennon, please don't tell me you killed yourself for that. I highly doubt that race was a factor. Even if I was the most racist, white supremacist grand dragon in the town, I'd look at her and say, go ahead. You two have a good time. By the way, let's just broadcast her picture to place her in the crosshairs of an angry mob. There is no reason to put her picture in your video, Richard, and especially no reason to announce her name. It's obvious why you're doing this. By the way, I censored out her eyes and bleeped out her name, not Richard.
Now, this lady is 32 years old. She had 3 kids, as Lacy's mother said, and she had an ex-husband who they're saying that she had just left in February.
If you have no evidence of his wrongdoing, then you need to shut the hell up. This is the kind of irresponsible reporting that gets people killed.
In North Carolina, the age of consent is 16.
I figured he was wrong here, but Richard Taylor got something right. I mean, I looked it up. Richard got it right.
Listen to a little bit more about this mysterious white girlfriend who also feels that Lacy was murdered. Just watch.
Lacy had an older white girlfriend. Family members say Lacy was in a relationship with a 31-year-old white woman months before his death. The age of consent in North Carolina is 16, but in a town where 86 black people were lynched between 1882 and 1968, the neighbors still have Confederate flags in their yard. The interracial relationship may have caused some tension.
Again, may have caused. Provide some evidence that it did. Hell, I'll take anything at this point. And you're claiming that 86 black people were lynched in Bladenboro between 1882 and 1968? 86? I find that very hard to believe. Keep in mind that between 1865 and 1941, about the same 80-year time span, 168 black people were lynched in the entire state. This is a town of only 1,800 people. So, sorry, I'm filing this under that which didn't happen. And that file drawer is getting overstuffed from these race hustling videos. And just because you're flying a Confederate flag doesn't mean you're all about lynching black people. Confederate flags are common. Hell, they even had one painted on the top of a car in a primetime TV show.
Said she doesn't believe the teen himself because he loves his mother so much.
Oh, well, if he loved his mother, then it has to be murder. Let's put this to bed. File this under he had no reason to commit suicide, which is said about everybody that commits suicide. Come on, guys.
She also said she doesn't know who killed her boyfriend, but I want to know who did it. I want them to suffer. Lacy's family, however, are asking authorities why they did not interview the woman's former husband and father of her children, who she left in February.
Oh, I don't know. Probably because he wasn't a suspect. There was no evidence that a crime had even been committed. And even if they had evidence of a crime, they might have already ruled him out. Perhaps he had an alibi. Did you stop to think about that?
While there's no evidence linking him to Lacy's death, the family would like authorities to turn over any leaf that may lead to justice for their son.
There's no evidence linking him to Lacy's death, but let's just bring him up as a possible murderer anyway.
Bladenboro is a racially charged town. In fact, it is called Crackertown. Here is the truth. The statistic listed above, marking the number of black bodies thrown from trees in Bladenboro, is an image that is hard to let go.
It's harder to even form because this image appears to have been fabricated from pure carbon dioxide.
And so is the racially charged climate of the rural town. In fact, Lacy's neighbors, a white couple living in a trailer home right behind the Lacy family home, were instructed by police to remove a Confederate flag and a sign that read "Keep Out" from their front yard.
Yeah, I have a hard time believing this story. Police have no such authority. If a person wants to fly the Confederate flag on their private property, then that's their business. Unless they have an HOA, although I kind of doubt it, given that it was a mobile home. And since we have trained the mob on the girlfriend and her ex-husband, why not have them show up at the Lacy's neighbor's house too?
The Guardian asked the couple why they had put up the sign. Said that it was his idea.
So let's go ahead and name him too, just in case the mob needs a little more information on where to show up with their pitchforks. And yeah, I censored his name out, not Richard. But the Guardian needs to focus. This was supposed to be about the hanging, not about some neighbor's sign.
Now, it's also mentioned that this lady left town shortly after the murder.
Good Lord. It's like we're listening to Gladys Kravitz from Bewitched.
Did you hear? Lennon's girlfriend left town shortly after he was found hanging. But don't tell anyone. Did you hear? Lennon's girlfriend left town for a Klan rally shortly after he was found hanging. But don't tell anyone. Did you hear? Lennon's girlfriend left town for a Klan rally shortly after he was murdered. But don't tell anyone. Did you hear? Lennon's girlfriend left town for a Klan rally shortly after her ex-husband murdered him. But don't tell anyone.
Just want to call it what it is. And, they didn't even interview her ex-husband, who she had recently just broke up with, but also was parading around town with this young black boy. Now, let's read a little bit from The Guardian, which gives a little bit more.
The Guardian. Oh no. Here's an excerpt from The Guardian about the hanging. It concerns a filmmaker named Jacqueline Olive moving to Bladenboro to get closer to the event. Olive also experienced a chilly reception in Bladenboro. When she was filmed at the swing set in the center of the trailer park where Lennon died, a white man drove up in a pickup truck asking what she was doing. Oh no, he asked what she was doing. He had a shotgun strung up on a rack behind the driver's seat. Yeah, he had a shotgun in the rack of his pickup. Ooh, what a terrible man. Oh my, he's one of those white supremacist Klansmen. Who gives a shit if he had a shotgun in the gun rack of his pickup? For the record, I tend to think that Jackie O made that story up. Nowadays, people generally put their rifles and shotguns on the floor behind a seat. This pickup gun rack story is just too stereotypical. If you're a white liberal loon, this is the kind of event you write to your equally loony readership, and they always fall for these stories because they're stupid. What she should have written was, the old man got out of his 2025 Chevy pickup, dripping oil and radiator fluid, grabbed his gun, and walked over. He spit out his skull chewing tobacco and took a swig of Jack Daniels and yelled, "You colored folk, get out of our county! Hooray for Dixie!" But if you still want to defend the Guardian, consider this excerpt from the same op-ed. How did the film director square that official analysis with her decision to connect Lennon to the horrors of America's past? I think it speaks to the question of whose truth is valid, Olive said. Is it documentation, or is it people's generational understanding and memory around these stories? I've done the research to understand that a lot of evidence around lynching is never documented. Sorry, but there is no such question as to whose truth is valid. You don't get to conjure up an opinion and claim it as your truth. Lacy was either lynched or he wasn't, and if you claim he was, the burden of proof, or at least the burden of providing some evidence, is on you. And no, generational understanding and memory around these stories doesn't count for shit. That's garbage. Yeah, there probably have been black people hanged in Bladenboro, although I doubt it has happened in over 60 years. That doesn't provide evidence that Lacy was hanged. One of the reasons why there are so few members of my family today is because of the Campbells. But if I'm ever found murdered, I don't think you can round up all the Campbells for questioning. What happened between Scottish clans in the past has no bearing on what happens to me in the future.
I feel that, he was probably sneaking out to see the white girl, and whether she set him up or somebody knew their routine, that is how he ended up in the way he did. Now,
yeah, let's just put the idea out there that she set him up based on nothing.
As the man mentioned in that video you just saw, at the time it was 80% white, 18% black. And it was known as Crackertown for its long-standing domination of the white population.
Domination of the white population? Okay.
And they're saying that from 1882 to 1968, in about 80 years, 86 black people were lynched.
Yeah, no, that didn't happen. I'm sorry. I could maybe believe 8, but 86? Nah.
Tell me why you are so convinced that he did not kill himself.
As a mother, you can sense when your child is going through pain, grief, being upset about something, to the point where you talk to them, and that relationship and that bond that we had. Lennon would never not change his demeanor if there was something going on to the point of that serious, that he would not let me know. He really didn't have to say much because I could tell. Just by his behavior, if something was bothering him.
So in other words, Claudia, if there was something bothering him, not only would you know, but he would have said something to you. You're convinced of that.
Yes.
Talk to me.
Thousands and thousands and thousands of parents have expressed this same idea and unfortunately have been found to be wrong. So what came of all this? Well, the FBI investigated and announced that they had found no evidence to pursue federal criminal civil rights charges, and local police found no evidence of any criminal wrongdoing either. It was almost certainly a suicide. And yeah, parents have a hard time accepting that, and so they tend to latch onto any theories that can remove the self-harm stigma. And so these parents are susceptible to wild theories. But it's terribly unfair to the victim and everyone else. Videos like Richard's are what gets people pointing fingers at each other and potentially violent mob attacks on their favorite boogeymen, white people and cops. But that's exactly why he publishes them. Like my video and subscribe to my channel.